In the labyrinth of military jargon, AWOL stands out as a stark acronym meaning absent without leave. While numerous individuals have their reasons for enlisting in the armed forces, my journey was distinct. I found myself drawn to the military after many fruitless years of navigating part-time jobs with no clear path in life. I was adrift, searching for something more when my good friend Zach roped me into enlisting. Zach had just signed up himself, and his excitement was infectious. I remember the day I signed my enlistment paperwork. There was a sense of naive optimism, a belief that this decision could transform my tangled life into something meaningful. However, what I hadn't fully grasped at that moment was a significant reality check that awaited me. The realization that, as a soldier, my personal freedom to travel whenever and wherever I wished was essentially gone. Certainly not in the early days of my military career as a junior Marine. Even on weekends, the tiny allowances for personal time were often subject to approval, engulfed in a sea of policies and rules. Navigating through the military's leave request system was akin to submitting a formal time-off request at any regular workplace, but with much higher stakes. A failure to appropriately request leave in the military might not end in a reprimand or job loss, but with jail time. The specter of a potential family emergency was daunting enough to send shivers down my spine. The process for an emergency leave request was cumbersome, leaving one to hope fervently for a swift approval. But in some cases, individuals take a different path. They leave, regardless of the consequences. Why do people go AWOL? The reasons are as varied and complex as the individuals themselves. Some are genuinely overwhelmed by the rigors of military life. Others are thrust into situations beyond their emotional bandwidth, unable to bear the strain. I heard a particular story about a sailor who, disillusioned with military life, simply left. When their ship docked in Guam, they headed straight to the airport, caught a flight, and vanished into civilian life. Their actions, seemingly reckless, underscored a broader spectrum of compelling stories, of others with equally fascinating, but occasionally more bizarre, reasons for going AWOL. For instance, consider the surreal tale of individuals driven by otherworldly motivations, discourses with spirits, and sensations of a preternatural calling leading them astray. 6 U.S. Army soldiers, trained intelligence specialists, once undertook such a journey, abandoning their post in West Germany to jet off to Gulf Breeze, Florida. The summons. They believed a spirit, communicated to them via a Ouija board, had forewarned them of the apocalypse, appointing them to hunt down the Antichrist. As I recount this, it's hard not to see the bewilderment the military officials must have felt when they first interrogated these men. Even decades later, their story, the story of the Gulf Breeze Sixes, remains an enigmatic anecdote of war, a narrative veiled both in mystery and absurdity. Whether you choose to believe their mission was divinely ordained or merely the result of a colossal psychological break, the consequences bore very real fruit. When you gaze upon the veils of war, you're invited into realms that challenge the very boundaries of rationale and imagination, leaving you wrestling to discern reality from mere figments of superstition and lore. We all harbor deep desires to achieve something monumental, yet if we're brutally honest with ourselves, it's likely we'd recognize our remarkable capacity for more than we often allow. In numerous ventures through life, I faced that very roadblock, my labyrinthine thoughts. It's paradoxical, isn't it? Our narrative traces back to 2 Army specialists, 26-year-old Kenneth Beauregard and 25-year-old Vance Davis. These men, though practitioners of unconventional beliefs, were regarded highly as intelligence specialists in their domain. Having completed their preliminary MOS training in the late 1980s, Both men were subsequently assigned to the 731 Military Intelligence Brigade in Augsburg, West Germany, a pivotal NSA listening post close to the Soviet border. It was an isolated post of incredible significance during the throes of the Cold War. As these young men quickly discovered, their shared fascination with the paranormal kindled a profound friendship. Kenneth's supernatural experiences were somewhat of a family affair. From as young as 5, he adamantly recounted spectral episodes, an encounter with a ghost who graciously offered him a glass of water when he awoke parched in the darkness. Kenneth's youth and adolescence overflowed with devout readings in science fiction realms, comic books, and voluminous narratives of spectral and extraterrestrial encounters, deepening his thirst for the supernatural. Friends and family, however, worried over Kenneth's seemingly unconverted adventures. Brimming with brilliance, yet rendered vulnerable by his trusting tendencies, Kenneth's open-hearted allure worried his kin, fearing he could be easily swayed by the more persuasive voices of the world. Their fears materialized when Kenneth enlisted in the army, marking the onset of events spiraling into the extraordinary. While stationed at Pensacola, Florida, Kenneth fell hard and fast for Anna Foster, a local woman and proprietor of a New Age bookstore. Identifying herself as both a psychic and UFO aficionado, Anna's uninhibited belief sparked an insatiable fascination for Kenneth, solidifying their bond. The world of telepathy, spirit readings, and otherworldly phenomena seamlessly intertwined the fates of these two souls. Parallel to this journey was Vance Davis, who held earnest interest in all things paranormal. This intrigue stretched back to his teenage years, during which he dabbled in self-hypnosis techniques and the Silver Mind Control Method, a controversial conscience-expanding program. Developed by cognition expert Jose Silva, the course alarmed skeptics, especially as its teachings surfaced alongside conmen like Alex Merklinger, who offered spiritual guides despite carrying a rap sheet fraught with fraudulent convictions. In correspondence with Kenneth, Vance recounted transcendental meetings during hypnotic excursions. These sessions brought him face to face with entities like Kia, a green-skinned alien being with miraculous abilities. Interestingly, Kia seemed to harbor an unlikely interest in Vance's health, miraculously correcting his flat-footedness, a condition previously aggravated by military service duties. Kia regaled Vance with stories of her kind and an entire cosmic allegory, featuring factions like the Alliance and much feared others, a cosmic war extending infinitely across the stars. Bonded by mutual belief in the supernatural, Kenneth and Vance plunged into armloads of literature on mythic subjects during their downtime. Being assignment-bound to a top-secret NSA station, their days yet revolved around unraveling and decoding Soviet transmissions, while evenings found them soaking in the enchantment of paranormal exchanges among a milieu of manuscripts and shared confessions. Eventually, their exploratory enthusiasm evolved into hands-on experiments in contacting the otherworldly. Over time, this dab hid within a circle of like-minded individuals, a cadre of 5 other soldiers, each finding themselves uncommonly bound in pursuit of transcendent truths. Among them were PFC Michael Huang, the jovial, curious companion, PFC Chris Pollock, a staunch supporter of shared mysticism, PFC William Sederberg, whose analytical nature belied deep paranormal intrigue, and an enigmatic outlier, Sergeant Annette Eason, a woman regarded for her steady composure under fire. The 6 embarked on explorative journeys, from meditative exercises to delving into cryptic worlds through mystic instruments like tarot cards. Despite their efforts, contact with otherworldly planes continually fell short of expectations, leading to creeping doubts. Frustration growing, the group reluctantly turned to the Ouija board, a last resort unanimously deemed childish but worth a gamble. To their astonishment, the once immobile planchette began its dance across the board, responding to questions as guided by unseen hands. Initially, the messages were ambiguous, devoid of doctrinal reverence. However, as the sessions intersected with time, numerous spirits emerged, electing names with profound biblical resonance. Esteemed Old Testament prophets like Zechariah and New Testament apostles like Timothy intermingled, their proclamations unveiling hidden visions. Yet it was a voice, Sapphire, that captured unopposed attention, articulating messages with a clarity and conviction otherwise unparalleled. She introduced herself with a distinct feminine presence, a past life rooted in Georgia, further enamoring Vance, however incredulous the rest. In session after session, Sapphire conveyed apocalyptic prophecies of unparalleled doom. Embarking on this journey meant inheriting prophetic burdens, far surpassing their existing military roles. Many of Sapphire's predictions followed grand narratives, the world approaching calamitous upheavals, natural catastrophes of global proportion, distorting geography, and ostensibly Christological revelations, unmasking extraterrestrial legacies and the likes of a singular, malevolent Antichrist. Conflicted by the gravity of these projected events, the group's dedication toward deciphering Sapphire's guidance grew, until the cascade of premonitions halted at the forewarned apex, the appearance of the Antichrist in 1998. Justifying the forecast with numerology, Sapphire informed the group this year held significance. A triple invocation of 666, the infamous biblical number. The perceived destiny of unrivaled chaos seemed to rest within their hands, guardians chosen to navigate humanity into the light of God's promised aftermath, averting the looming end times. It was a sentiment reaffirmed in moments of collective awe and reinforcement, one that reached new intensity when an early prophecy came hauntingly true. In late June 1990, a seismic tremor hit Iran, leaving a shadow of destruction with 40,000 to 50,000 casualties. The disaster came unwontedly close on the heels of Sapphire's foretelling, a prophecy long woven into their evenings spent around the Ouija board. Its eerie accuracy impelled a critical shift, securing unity among the six that their mission was indeed divine, a calling hearkened from the heavens. But duty remained, shackling their conscience back to military service, a conundrum that gnawed incessantly until Sapphire issued a crystal-clear dispatch. Abandon your posts. Trusting they held divine dispensation, the group embarked on their ultimate venture, deliberately shedding their military identities for an uncertain reunion within America's sanctuarial mountains, salvation and collapse ever impending. The exodus unfolded against the melodrama of Cold War espionage. 6 soldiers, tasked with intercepting Soviets' oscillated signals, took their leave under falsified passes, blending into Munich's populace, weighing consequences, agitations that undoubtedly trailed them, betrayal, imprisonment, and unknowns much worse. This world they fled felt intimidating and untamable, far removed from their destined escape in clandestine Otto and Anna's wilderness refuge. As whispers circulated, tension mounted within high enclaves of military investigation. Speculation of AWOL classified their absence as suspect. A possible defection, a chilling risk of large-scale disclosure. Yet back in Pensacola, under Anna's veneer of hospitality, reoriented and momentarily concealed, the group strategized future steps, navigating otherworldly terrain via their mystic guide until something unforeseen, a subtext of love, redefined the landscape once more. An unexpected tryst captivated Vance upon crossing paths with Anna's roommate, rekindling earlier visions of eternal connection. Sergeant Annette Eason cautioned against distractions, urgency seething within their bolstered belief system. Anna's house was but a transient stronghold, a passage amidst uncharted waters. Even a minor breach of concealment risked catastrophic failure, a vivid reality rehearsed through minutes of misconceived freedom. In hindsight, it's easy to indulge curiosity's loose tension, Michael Huang's decision weighing tentative doldrums heavier than imagined. Guillen March club scenes whispered alluringly, tempting exploration in a borrowed vehicle with a single, albeit discernible flaw, a fractured tail light. That small infraction spelled his undoing when an observant officer engaged him in conversation along the Gulf Breeze pier. Michael, rattled, petitioned for leniency, finding none. Information recovery was swift and precise, his name disseminated through defense channels, chronicled among desertion claims. In boundaryless time, Anna's sanctuary crumbled beneath coordinated apprehension, vanished into the silence of military hierarchy. Becoming enmeshed within labyrinths of interrogation, their bizarre explanations invoked greater disbelief thanks to distressing media frenzies manipulating truth for conversion into palatable headlines. Spiraling conjecture wove ever-expanding myths, dovetailing into tales like those surrounding the infamous UFO sighting events, said by some to be heralds of a coming apocalypse. Whether myth, psychosocial phenomenon, or legitimate encounter, the Gulf Breeze 6's story remains a nebulous tale among the annals of military history. Reinforced stubbornly by personal testimony, psychic anomalies, and ventures into ethereal dimensions, names like Sapphire remain alive in whispered echoes. As reality encroached yet again, glimmers of their ethereal illusions persisted through both distorted murmurings and legitimate inquiry. Whispers of concealed documentation, hundreds of photos, relics of potential significance, claimed legitimacy in defining the mysterious experiences of these soldiers. However, such claims were never validated, leaving only the tantalizing specter of hidden truths. While the military investigation concluded with inexplicable leniency, granting these deserter soldiers what was rumored to be an honorable discharge formalities in contradictory tone arose thereafter. With pages redacted, testimonies censored, and hundreds of details left trailing, one might wonder at their purported transparency, or if embarrassment negated visible admission before the truth. And so their legend extends into ethereal reach. Grounded storytellers like Vance Davis achieved scant success in monetary recognition, personal chapters riddled with contested prophecies, and surreal narrations of predestined futures. To many, some tales hold duration, veiled, if eternally mystifying. To others, a deeper pursuit continuously gnaws, instilling the pursuit of enigmatic truths. Among supernatural narratives capturing fascination into the 21st century, and those eliciting cautionary revisions in military protocol, like the Marine Corps' 2013 Ouija board ban, remarkable stories persist, never completely lost in shadows, but lurking along the perennial border of imagination and belief. Reflecting on personal stories echoes a resonance with this narrative, both deeply rooted in experiences living along Florida's loquacious coastlines. Growing up in Gulf Breeze, tales circulating through whispers of UFO sightings took shape amid mundane echoes. When the military beckoned later, I returned to encounters both familiar and foreign. Gulf Breeze's significant scripts intersect across grades of wartime recollections, Ken's gondola design resonating like the strings of our ghost blimp story, stationed forebodingly behind glass at Pensacola's Naval Air Museum. Between incident tales and first explores, the sands of time-etched destinies, unknown and unpredictable. These scripted life narratives unite, scripted eternally like digital conduits of thought, a shared embankment of military training and experimental aviation ripples. Thus, like journeyed echoes unfurling among pages of old family tapes, Gulf breezes' charm pulses on, a thrum following gentle awakenings with each new morning light. What greater affirmation lies therein, hidden among vestiges of time and place, but the reaffirming promise that, no matter the course of sublunary lives, stories endure, echoing upon the distant sands, for those with courage enough to dig beneath the tides and behold the veritable bounty of marvel lying beneath.